Hey everybody, we have, let's see, if it's 12:02, then it's already New Year's Eve early. If it is 9:03, then it is the eve of New Year's Eve, and we are just hours away from the turn of the decade. And so I was thinking, because I said I was going to do a live stream, and I thought, okay, I'll do another one on, the usual. And I thought, wait a minute, I can't do one on the usual. And the reason I can't do one on the usual is very simple. This is an unusual period of time. And so, in fact, it is also for me a day of celebrating because today, or I should say yesterday, I launched officially the state of Delaware approved the existence of Zinni 62 Media as a corporation. That's right, a corporation. So if you go to zinni62media.net, hey, guess what? We have a new website that announces the overarching media company that owns all of this that I'm due. Oakland News Now, Oakland News Online, you get the idea. And so I'm working on stock certificates and stock splits for people, so I'm not quite done there. And so this and I'm here for mom, and whereas um Cal was playing and won and beat Illinois was predicted. And I watched it with her. It was really great. And I thought, wow, this is quite a day of change and quite a fascinating place to be. But not starting your own corporation again, this is my second official go around. The first time I officially did it was Sports Business Simulations when I established that in 2003. And I did that because a fellow who wanted to bring me to the Kairitsu Forum said that I had to get investments from friends and family and then establish a corporation with stock and a board of directors. And I had to do that by February 1st, and he would bring me in the Kairitsu Forum. I did all of that by January 23rd of 2003. And that was when my first company, Sports Business Simulations, was born. This is different in that I know enough to do it better and to avoid the mistakes I made the first time. That's another story. So this is a big deal for me, a big day for me too. It's very empowering. And then to have the state of Delaware say, hey, what you created matters, ta-da. And then when the federal government gets its computer problems straightened out, I can get my employer identification number and establish a bank account and move forward in producing media and also gaining clients through Zinni 62 Media as I had done just as a name, but now it's a company and it feels so freaking good. It's like yeah, you know. Um another shot. And so in all of this, I thought I have to talk about something different, but still respectful of my viewers and relevant to the audience and celebratory of this place that we're in where we're reaching the turn of the decade. And I thought, you know, people talked about, for example, I think one Raider blog did something called the Raiders All Decade Team or the Player of the Decade. But I thought there has been so much gut wrenching change in Oakland, right? I thought, let's talk about what the top story would be or stories, right? What is it? Which one? And I at first I thought it's going to be easy because you would say the Warriors and their 5 NBA championships, right? Right? And so it was a stretch where, Hey, John Marks, how you doing? It was a stretch where it seemed like the Warriors were never going to lose. They were capturing the they had a habit of playing the Cavaliers, uh, and it just seemed like that was the NBA was going to be held hostage by this Cavaliers Warriors rivalry. Right? There was nothing they could do. Nothing. And then of course we know what happened. But what happened in Golden State, uh, it could only happen. Right now we have to acknowledge it's only happening in Oakland. That's it. Okay, no place else. And the Coliseum Arena, Warriors were there 1966 to 67, 71 to 96, and of course the new arena was built, so they came back from 97 to 2019 in that stretch. Um, and For home arenas, they had players, they had retired numbers, but they had a, a glorious number, a glorious number of championships that were just incredible. I mean, incredible. So, you know, if you look at NBA Finals history right now, and you look at the list of NBA champions, you've got there's this, of course, the Lakers and their great teams, right? But then there's this stretch where it was from 2015 Golden State Warriors, uh, Golden State Warriors, Golden State Warriors, Golden State Warriors. So basically, the Warriors have been to the NBA Finals 5 times. They didn't win all. It's 4 of the 5. Okay, but it's incredible. All right, it's an incredible run. It's an incredible run. But does that make it the greatest sports story of the decade? It's hard to argue with that. Except, hey Chi, how you doing? Chi, by the way, I launched and I'm still working on the stock splits for Zenny 62 Media, and I just want to brag a little bit on this new website. This is the new website for Zenny 62 Media, the new corporate home for what I do. Boom, there it is. Welcome to Zenny 62 Media, and basically we do content marketing, content development, reputation management, and then also we tell the news. We report on, comment on the news, and as you know, right? But this is the new corporate home, and we're in Delaware. We're an official Delaware corporation with stock shares and a board of directors. And I'm not at this point going to say who's on the board of directors, but I will say that we have 2 classes of stock. And I will also say some of the people that are that are shareholders, not directors, members, are some of you. And I made a promise years ago now, a couple of years ago, that I would do that. But it took time to get the structure right, okay, and make sure that I was confident in the direction that I was going. And finally, and also not only that, look, I just, in terms of personal stuff, hey, look, as you know, I'm here for mom, and there've been a lot of upheavals in my life surrounding that, and so that was priority one. And in a sense, going through that, I just be blunt. It really forced me to focus on building Zenny 62 Media for my future, because I thought, okay, well, initially you think, okay, you'll be with a company like the city of Oakland, you draw a pension and all that. But the city of Oakland didn't treat me well enough they didn't take care of me. And even though people were saying, well, you should get a civil service job, but the mayor of Oakland is the ones to make that happen. And that didn't occur for me. Okay. It didn't. And even as much as I put in, as much as I did, right? So that's another story. But I never gave up building my own base of economic wealth. Everybody has a base of economic wealth. And this is that latest, I can't say attempt because it's built. You know, the state of Delaware approved it, and I'm moving forward, all right, and doing it the right way. So it feels great. It's a lot of work to do, but uh, the big hurdle of doing this, I've overcome. So anyway, uh, uh, my point is that the website. This is the website. I'll show it to you one more time before I. There it is. Any 62 Media. Very proud of it. And again, I could not have gotten here without you. Okay, so I want to thank you all very, very much for how you all stepped forward in times when I didn't know exactly how where my next dollar was going to come from, and I was doing this, and you all valued what I was explaining, and the fact that I had entree to NFL owners meetings and still do and everything else. And you guys really came through. So this was born of that. Zenny 62 Media was born of that. And I want to again thank you and a number of you who have been consistent contributors, like Chi, for example, are part of the preferred. Are your shareholders? Okay, you don't have voting say. Okay, but but it is consideration. It's albeit small, but hey, look, if this gets really big and it flips over, boom, it still matters, right? It matters anyway. So I just want to let everybody know what my intentions have been, and but it's in that in coming to this right at the turn of the century is also the culmination of a lot of stories that I have been fortunate enough to cover and tell with respect to the Raiders and the A's and the Warriors in Oakland and the personalities behind the scenes that have made up what happened for better or worse, right? So let me read your comments before I go too much further. Chi says it's, first of all, John Marks, how you doing? Welcome. Uh, he says, hey, Zenny. And Chi says, it's crazy how empty the place is. No Warriors or Raider Magic. Why this area? Yeah, that's the greatest. That's a great question. I'll get to that in a second. John Mark says, I remember the Warriors' low attendance back in the early 80s. John Marks then follows up with, I was a season ticket holder for the Warriors in the 1987-88 season. 20 wins and 62 losses after their playoff run in the 86-87 season. And then he follows up, Chi, Oakland politicians don't care about sports. Fact. And then he says, congratulations, and I thank you. You know, I have to unfortunately agree with you. And when I say don't care about sports, what I mean is it goes to a conversation I had with an elected official, like by text, and no, it was a conversation I had by voice. And this person asked me, active politician, said what, asked me what I thought of Oakland Athletics president Dave Cavall, and I said I don't evaluate Dave. I like Dave as a person, but I don't evaluate him that way. What I'm more focused on is what he's trying to do economically, and whether or not the way he's going about it, not that, not the end game, but the way he's going about it is the best for us, okay? And how we can help him get there. All right. That was my focus. And I say that because in Oakland, when it comes to healthcare, all right, we build a hospital with the county of Alameda, or if it comes to skyscrapers, that has been a, a private sector effort. You would say skyscrapers in Oakland. I say, yeah, high rises. Uh, if it comes to, in the past, housing, a private sector effort aided by the Oakland Redevelopment Agency and its gigantic affordable housing fund. We had an affordable housing fund that raised over $300 million during the last 3 years of its life, from 2011 going back to 10, 9. Okay, so, but when I think of sports, I think of how politicians have reacted personally to sports owners in Oakland, and that's always been the problem. It doesn't matter if it was Lionel Wilson and Al Davis, and a large part of that is the fact that these are mom and pops people who reflect and run their organizations, and they are the last person. They are the ultimate example of the buck stops here, right? But if you're dealing with a corporation, you don't quite know where the buck stops. You can appeal to the shareholders, you can appeal to the CEO, you can appeal to the CEO's board of directors via public relations. Okay, it's truly a large group of people that steer a corporation. But when you're talking about a sports organization, it generally comes down to a handful of people or one or two. And so therein lay these personal responses in the Oakland context. But I say it in the Oakland context because here in Atlanta, it's not like that. People who are involved in sports as owners here, like for example, Arthur Blank with the Falcons, they're people who locally, first of all, they're very rich. They have gained their money in other areas of business, and they have grown their business in the region. Okay, that's Arthur Blank. Uh, the Hawks are different with Tony Rosselli, but he made a commitment to Atlanta, even though he's a billionaire, but he's a billionaire. All right, and he made his money somewhere else. But still, when you think of the Atlanta Hawks, you think less of the owner and you think more of CEO like Steve Koonin, who's a public figure around here, who's been in a number of jobs, and then of course Stan Kasten before that. Uh, there are a lot of great sports executives that have made their way through Atlanta and are still here. Uh, that's harder to say in the Bay Area that you can point to, and well, that's not true because you can look at Rick Waltz with the Golden State Warriors. All right, and the A's have had Andy Dolich in the past. They have Dave Cavall now. So as I think about it, that's not quite true. But what is true, and what is the primary difference between here and Oakland, is this pedestrian way that we treat sports. Let me get to your comments. And she says 49ers, Giants, A's, Warriors, is that enough sports to feed the Bay Area? Enough content to talk about all year? Yeah. John Marks follows up. He says, even though I haven't contributed to Zenny 62 Media, I feel that Zenny 62 is going to go places. Hopefully, John Marks Radio and Zenny 62 Media will someday tag team and help the community of sports worldwide. Yeah, sure. I mean, absolutely. I think, John, my advice is the reason why I started corporate structure is to have something, you have to have a vehicle for people to invest in. All right. You have to have a business plan. You have to show value. And we've done that. I've got clients that I actively represent. I actually actively work on behalf of, and I've talked about them, Rarity Kaplan, Insight Terminal Solutions, and so on that hand. And then, of course, I have the blogs. I have 98 blogs, including Oakland News Now, Zenny62.com, which was my first major one, and you get the idea, okay? Blogs that I've developed for individual clients in the past, like Rich Aurelia, the Giants, that was 2010, okay? I've made a party blog for Rich Aurelia of the San Francisco Giants that is still in existence today. But it's not part of my network, right? So I now have this corporate umbrella to really hold all of these in value and use them on different projects within, Zenny 62 Media for various efforts in the execution of our business plan. All right. So my advice to you, John Marks, is to really zero in on creating a corporate veil. That is, what kind of structure do you want? Do you want a corporation, an LLC? You have to have stock for people to invest in. Now, don't want to go off into too much because I'm getting away from things and I want to read your comments. But my whole point is that that's what you got to do. Okay. Anyway, back to the whole point of things. Um, Oakland has been cursed by that. So let's talk about other. I'm going to say, I'm going to write down in the listing here what I think some of the top sports stories are. I'm going to say number one, Warriors NBA Finals. Okay. Number two is Raiders, Warriors, Warriors, SF Arena. Um, Warriors SF Warriors leaving for Warriors leaving for SF Arena. Okay, that's number two. Number three, Raiders uh, Raiders leaving Oakland after double crossing City. Raiders leaving Oakland for Las Vegas. Okay, there's no other way to put it than that. Okay, so I think those are the top three. And what do you think? Okay, I think those are the top three. So we can argue, what am I leaving out? Oakland A's quest for new ballpark. Is that fair to say that's number four? Oh, thanks. But do you agree with the ranking though? Okay. Do you agree with the ranking? You know? And so number five, I would say number five. Wow, number five is a toughie. Because there's a lot. There's also the greats like Andre Ward in his Olympic victories, right? And I feel like there are other things I'm missing out. I'm leaving out unconsciously. The Warriors wins are a big deal. Hey everybody, welcome to Zenny 62. How are you doing? The Warriors are a big deal. That's a big thing. But my question is straight up. All right. My question is, how about the passing of Al Davis? Thank you. Number five. Thank you. The passing of Al Davis. That was October 8th. October 8th, 2011. Yeah, that's a big deal. The passing of Al Davis. Eric Young says, "Hi, what are we ranking here? The greatest sports stories of the decade in Oakland. Raiders, A's, Warriors, and Oakland sports. That's what we're ranking. And so I'm saying, number one are the rankings I have. One is the Warriors NBA championships. Two, the Warriors leaving San Francisco Arena. Three is the Raiders leaving a double cross. And then four, Oakland A's quest for a new ballpark. And then five, the passing of Al Davis is one that was offered me. And then Angel Batista just came through with, hey, Angel, how you doing? Angel Batista Perez says, Raiders making the playoffs in 2016. I agree. How about the Athletics making the playoffs, right? The A's, so if we're gonna throw in there, right? So the A's, which I think gets to that question I'm going to deal with in a second. Oakland A's playoff history, right? So we'll go through the Oakland A's playoff history. And we've got, let's see, 2018 wild card game. Actually, have quite a few. All right. In this decade, 2012, the league divisional series against the Detroit Tigers, we lost. 2013, we lost again to the Tigers. 2014 wild card game, we lost to the Royals. 2018 wild card game, we lost to the Yankees. Okay. So we, as of course, the Oakland Athletics. So the Athletics have played a powerful role in our history that we obviously are not taking for granted at all. and should be noted. And that's it, and that's what we're doing here. So, so anyway, and Eric Young says the Warriors were without question number one, and John Marks says that if Al Davis was still alive, would he allow Mark to move the Raiders to Vegas? And I think that would be a toss-up. But as I think about it, you know, Mark, Mr. Davis said something that I think has to be noted, in that the Raiders were not as successful in the second decade of the 21st century as they were in the first. Okay. Um, but I think, mm, I think Mr. Davis, first of all, will be very proud of his son. Okay. Uh, I also think you can't think about Al Davis without thinking about his wife and Mark's mother, Carol. So, and I think both of them in later years, I think they would have given him a thumbs up. I don't think, now, as I really stop and really ponder it, I've given a different answer in the past, but as I think nostalgically, um, without animus, I'm just being honest, because sometimes, you know, when you talk about these things as Oaklanders, it's hard not to have a little animus because of what went down, but sometimes that clouds one's view. And so let's take the animus out of it and acknowledge that it's quite possible Al Davis would have been so proud of his son that he would have not defied him, you know? Because at some point, Al would have to say, or someone would have to say, you know, maybe you should just step down and let your son take over. Or, and the question is, would it have been Mark? Here's the other question: would it have been Mark Davis or Amy Trask? All right. So let's say that Al Davis was still alive, but I think that if Al Davis was still alive, considering the line of succession, I think that what he would have done is put Mark in charge anyway, because if Mark were not, if his father didn't favor him so much, Al Davis would not have allowed for his son to have his team. Okay? I'm not saying Amy shouldn't have ran the Raiders. I agree with you. But there is a reason why when Mr. Davis passed away, she wasn't left in a position where she couldn't, you know, it was so powerful it could not be usurped. Okay? You have to keep that in mind. You know, Mark had her, and the way it was engineered, she left. But the simple fact of the matter is, as much as she is tied to the Raider brand in Oakland, and, you know, Mark Davis emerged as the winner of what was obviously an internal power struggle. You know, one that today she doesn't want to talk about openly. It hurt, and for good reason. It hurt. I can say, as much as I know, which isn't considerable, which, okay. Eric Young says, why did she leave? Well, the simple reason is I believe that Mark Bedane had something to do with her departure. Okay, and I'll say it just like that. I believe Mark Bedane had a great deal to do with it. And Mark Bedane and Mark Davis have always been buddy buddies for a long time. And they had sort of an old boys network that pushed the girl out. All right. And she didn't have anything to strengthen her hand that Mr. Davis left her with. And so there you were. Whereas, okay. So there you are. But having said that, I do agree with what John Marks wrote, is that Amy Trask would have worked out with Libby and kept the Raiders in Oakland. I agree with you. But, you know, Mark emerged as a president. She says Amy will always be the princess of darkness. I don't see her that way. I hate that term. I don't know why people. I mean, she wore black, sure, but I never thought of her as dark, and here's why. I remember, and Eric, I like Mark Bidet. Now, when I say that, it doesn't mean I don't like Mark. Mark's a friend. I consider Mark Bidet a friend. I don't have anything personally against Mark. Never have. Uh, when Mark was named president of the Raiders, I was there. That was the day in the year 2015. I believe it was January 10th when when Jack Del Rio was named head coach of the Raiders. It was at that same press conference event that Mark Bidet was named team president by Mark Davis. He was in the back of the room over here with Oakland Council member Larry Reed and some Raider investors that I met. And I was talking to Mark Bidet about how to get the state involved in their need for a new stadium, who to contact. He was taking notes, okay? And so the simple fact that he was doing that meant that, hey, he respected me enough to say, we started talking, and I said, here's what you do. He goes, yeah, I could use some help. And I gave him some advice. And I've always done that with him. I even with Vegas, to be honest with you, okay? So it's not personal for me. I don't believe in taking up the problems of people. You have to be very funny about how you do that, okay? Because some people will very easily say, I don't like that person because of X, not knowing that person. But if you're, like, I'm in the business of the NFL, I have a business relationship, and the league respects its business relationship with me. And so it'd be wrong for me to disrespect my business relationship with the NFL. And the NFL includes the Oakland Raiders, soon to be Las Vegas Raiders. That's just the way it is for me. That's a decision I made. And I'm going to say something to you, okay? I know there's those of you who don't like me for that, and I can't help you. This is my private Idaho. Everybody has their private Idaho. This is mine. This is what has given me the value that I built. It has afforded me an interesting life, okay? And it would be stupid for me to not build on what I have had for so many years and have brick by brick built anyway. So I'm saying to you, for whatever private Idaho you have, don't let people who are not involved in it direct it for you, because they don't care. They only care about their own insecurities, and to the extent that you reflect them, they're happy. That hurts you, okay? That hurts you. True friends don't do that. That's just a piece of advice to anybody out there watching. All right? Let me get back to your comments. And she says, I got that. Eric Young says, I've never liked Mark Bidet either. I have. I like Mark, okay? Eric says, I'm sorry, but what the Marx brothers did was dishonest and disrespectful to us in Oakland. And look, I'm not disagreeing that the Raiders acted in bad faith. There's no question that they did. It should, I have said before, and I'll say it again, it should be adjudicated in court. But, all right, it is a business issue. And you have to rise to a point where, first of all, look, let's just be honest on its face. That has zero to do with me. I wasn't involved. The mayor of Oakland did not officially make me involved. I'm just being honest with you. This is how I'm looking at it, because I wanted to be involved. A number of you have said, hey, look, Zinni should be heading up X, or whatever, right? She didn't do that. I can go and repeat all the stuff that I've talked about in the past. You're not here for that, okay? I don't think. So my point is, hey, that was not, I wasn't allowed to have that as my private Idaho. So I can look at it coldly and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, Mark Bidet is my friend. Mark Davis doesn't consider me a friend. Mark, that's Mark, okay? I do not return the action of how he treats me, and I refuse to. I have my own private Idaho. Understand? So, and I encourage every one of you to have your own. And the reason I do so is this: too many people don't, and they feel lost. I'm really concerned about the future of this society. All right. In fact, there's something I'm going to show you in a second that should scare you. I'm going to read your comments. She says, what are your wild card picks if you had to put money on it? Ooh, give me a second. John Mark says, what are the updates in the Oakland lawsuit? That's steamrolling toward March. Let me check in terms of the deadlines. Let me check for you on that. There is we were talking about wild card picks, and there was something I was thinking about. Oh, wild card picks. I would, if I were a betting man, for some reason, the Saints, the Seahawks, to me look like an interesting organization. I mean, look. We've got Buffalo and Houston at Houston. I can't see the. I can't. I could see. I can't see Houston losing at home. Tennessee at New England, I think that's a toss-up game the way the Patriots have, not only the way the Patriots have played of late, but also the fact that they're facing a team that beat them earlier this year, led by a former Patriot, Mike Vrabel. It seems like the Patriots have had problems, if you note, with former Patriots coaches, right? Minnesota and New Orleans, the Saints. And that seems like they're going to New Orleans, so it's almost a rematch of that epic playoff battle where Stephon Diggs made the game-winning catch. Remember that a few years ago? And then Seattle and Philadelphia. I think the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks could beat Philadelphia, the Eagles. But the Philadelphia Offensive Brain Trust has come up with, I think, some of the best game plans in recent NFL playoff memory, including their win against the Patriots in the 52nd Super Bowl. So we'll have to see with that one. But the Saints are my money. If I had to pick a certain one of all of those, the Saints, then the Texans. All right. To answer your question, what do you think, by the way? So, and John Marks says that he can see the Seahawks win over the Eagles, and that he says that Patriots can't stop Derrick Henry. She says, okay. So as far as the lawsuit, let me do some quick digging. I don't think there is another deadline, but I'm actually going through my account to check on that real quick. And see something here. So I'll have an answer for you in a second. Let's see here. Where would I like to go? Sorry about that. Oh, come on. You gotta be kidding me. What? Your browser must be set to accept cookies. Close or reopen. Okay. Something is not working like it should. Here. So you know what? I'm not going to bother with that. I'll just say that we just had our most recent deadline, so we're not going to have another one. Our most recent deadline was, I believe, 2 weeks ago. So you don't have one coming up so soon. March, and I believe not until March, really. March 6th of 2020. That's the court date. All right. So let me put it this way. There's nothing on record that will happen to cause this case to not reach March. Understood? We'll know its future in March. But the way these documents or these arguments going back and forth, I don't see anything that stands in the way of proceeding to trial at this point. Okay. Yeah, I was saying to go back to court March 6th, but the whole point is between now and March 6th, there could be, but there is not, another exchange of arguments, but there's not. Okay. And that's what I remembered. I thought, wait a minute, that's not okay, March 6th. Because we had a couple, all right? We had a couple. But there's nothing standing in the way of that trip back to court. Okay, so you'll be waiting a while, folks. She says, read an article on ESPN says Derek Carr is glad to get out of Oakland. I personally like Carr. Derek Carr is glad to get out of Oakland? I think here's the thing. I think Carr, if I had to, I haven't seen the article. Let me try to find it. I'm going to take your comment. ESPN says Derek Carr is glad to get out of Oakland. I'm going to copy paste that, Chi, because if that article is what you say it is, and I put this in search, it should pop up. Okay. Hold on a second. Let me copy this, paste that in there. Boom. And what we find, okay. Derek Carr says Raider Nation is tough, gritty, and loyal. Derek Carr 9 hours ago said he's looking forward to Las Vegas. Now, honestly, do you expect him to go against the party line and say he's not? Because if he's not looking forward to Las Vegas, what's to stop him from going in the way, and this is another sports story I think that's major, of Greg Papa, the voice of the Raiders. All right? You see how willing Mark Davis was willing to just... You see how willing Mark Davis was to just cut him off? Right? Okay? But anyway, what this is from Paul Gutierrez, who's a great... there are a lot of people, unfortunately, in this business they don't own their own media companies, and they are, on the beat, right? Who are jerks. Not a lot, some. There's some nice people here. Like, I like, for example, Jared Bell, but another person is Paul Gutierrez. Paul Gutierrez has always been nice, kind. I like Paul. I always, just at least say hello and everything. I like Paul. This is by Paul Gutierrez. He says, Derek Carr is looking forward to, quote, some fresh air in Las Vegas after an ugly end to his time in Oakland. Now, see, here's the thing. This sounds like one of those conversations that was a sort of a setup. In other words, Paul said, the setup is, oh, hey, man, the last time you were there, they booed you. So what do you think about Las Vegas? So what is he supposed to say? I mean, it kind of cants toward, oh, yeah, man, I'm glad to get out of that because I didn't like that at all. Right? It's a little skill here going on. Anyway, he says, even to the way this is written, all right? Derek Carr is looking forward to some fresh air in Las Vegas after an ugly end to his time in Oakland as a Raiders quarterback, even as speculation mounts that he will not be with the team in Southern Nevada. Quote, very much, Carr said Monday during locker room cleanout day when asked if he was looking forward to the move. It's exciting. I think it's time for some fresh air. And, okay, so there you go. He said, I had some good meetings with my coaches. I'm looking forward to Las Vegas. He said Monday, all right? He says, we need to get more wins, and I think everyone will chill out. And so there you go. All right. He says, I don't think it's a surprise that, this is Carr talking, being in the same system in year 2 is both my best years. That's true. And he says, referring to Del Rio, and he says, just by far statistically career highs on almost everything except wins. We need to get more wins, and I think everyone will chill out. Okay, so there you go. That's to be expected, Chi. And it also is an example of how important it is to consider the context within which something is said. All right, and he says his words were, "It's time for some fresh air." Well, yeah, Yeah, Cal Bears, go Bears. We won. Got my Cal shirt. See? Right here. Go Bears. So except a little annoying thing, a friend of mine sent me a photograph of something called the Zinni Zone at at 49ers Stadium, right? And that organization, Zinni, is Zinni Glasses, and that guy basically took my name and squatted it and set it up so that he would buy these Google ads every time someone searches Zinni 62 on Google, all right? And basically piggybacked on my name. This went on for years. I called him number of times. I called him and got a hold of his wife. And didn't know it was wife. His wife told her the problem, and she says, "Oh, we should sit down and work with you," and they never did. So my friend sends me this picture saying this is a misspelling, and I don't think he knew. Well, no, he didn't know. He didn't know about this whole thing, and I just went ballistic. I was like, "Oh man." Anyway, that was at the Cal game. So unfortunately, that clouded my enjoyment of the victory. At any rate, go Bears. So Dave Halcyon says, I thought it was very disrespectful, a slap in the face to Oakland. I agree. It was disrespectful and a slap of face to Oakland. But, you're talking about what Derek Carr said? I don't. Look, they booed him and they threw stuff. And he didn't expect that after the wins and all the pats on the backs and the attaboys and stuff like that. So that is to be expected. That is to be expected. Here's the big problem. Here is the enormous problem. And here is a problem that may lead to the first huge sports story in Oakland of the new decade. And that is the Raiders playing in the Coliseum one more time after all that stuff went down. In all of this, you're being force-fed. It's like you're being forced. You're being put in the Matrix, right? Oh, the Raiders are gone. The Raiders are gone. The Raiders are gone. But the stadium is not ready. Okay? And the stadium is not only that the stadium isn't ready, the stadium has a myriad number of problems such that they're not going to make it on the time that they imply. Let me put it this way. The Raiders Stadium is not going to be open for an NFL season game July 31st. All right? Even though they say, oh, it's going to be finished. Because at first it was substantially completed. They went back and forth. But if you look at the original schedule for construction, the cable net roof raise was supposed to have been finished August 8th. Now other people say, well, they've been building. Here's where you should never quote people, all right? Because if you don't understand what you're saying, you wind up looking stupid. And a lot of people have done that, including people with a review journal. Well, they're taking things out of sequence. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you have a procedure for building a stadium or anything, you can't just take it out of sequence. It doesn't make any sense. All right? It would be like, for example, I have this copier machine right here, okay? Then I have this, all right? So what if I told you, well, okay, I don't have this frame, if I'm building it. And I need this frame in order to install this. Right here, right? Because they connect. And so then I tell you, well, I'm going to take this out of sequence and it's going to be okay. Well, what? See, you should ask, what does that mean, right? Because in this instance, if I don't have this piece, I've got a big problem. And if this piece isn't coming for some time, considering what I need back here to complete the construction, that's a huge problem. And then if I open this up like that, right? Okay, you see how it's hooked in here? All right? So I can't, there's a lot of this that can't work. And then it's tied in with the mechanism, so the timing is all off. There's nothing I can do. Okay? So that really throws things off. Similarly, very similarly, they don't have the roof on. By now, the roof was supposed to have been covered. I don't know if you know that or not, but take a look at the animation construction time. So what has happened in the months where this thing has been exposed to the weather? It has rained and rained and rained and flooded and rained. And all of that damages the drywall and other materials inside. You can't just, we're not talking about stainless steel that's there. It would have been nice if they had done it that way, but they didn't. And, okay? And you have a whole side of that building, and Joseph Amanduras said it best. He said, hey, look, very little has changed since he visited it in March, between March and Christmas. And there's a big reason for that. They quite literally had to all but cease construction because of that truss span issue. It's not just the cable net roof. The truss span problem went to the roof problem. Oh, and then they said, in terms of taking things out of sequence, they're going around pulling on parts of the cable net roof to see which ones were taut enough to take the tension and then pull it up. When they had another part that wasn't pulled up, you're not supposed to do that. It's all supposed to be pulled up as one. So that caused damage. But they're not, okay? And if you read the stadium documents, what they deny in public, they later admit in the stadium monthly reports. Now, in my case, I had Las Vegas whistleblowers that came forward. All right? So this thing is in worse shape than they let on. And on top of all that, they are short 3 founding partner sponsors. They have 9. They need 10, 11, and 12. Because Mark Bedane himself says we need 12 founding partner sponsors. They don't have 9. They're short, which means they're short money. Okay? So they've got some problems. So at any rate, here, let me get to your comments here. And Eric Youngs asks, who do you feel will be a better quarterback for the Raiders, if any, coming out of college? Wow. Coming out of college, well, I'm not convinced we're done hearing people of who's going to come out, right? But since you forced my hand, I would say, obviously, Joe Burrow. If the Raiders could take their 2 picks and then move up, with the Bengals, maybe trade places, that would be a game changer for them going to Las Vegas to get Joe Burrow. Quite obviously, okay? My question is, can Gruden coach a young gun, right? In the new way, the new fast up-tempo style? That's my question. And that'd be the ultimate test for Gruden. So Joe Burrow. Cheese says, I play Madden video games. Can you imagine the Oakland Raiders then having to update the game online to switch to Vegas? Yeah. Edward Reed says, Vegas will backfire on Davis. Then he adds, does he have a 5-year out clause in Vegas? No, there's no out clause like that. There's no out clause. So I don't know where that started, but no. Senate Bill 1 doesn't have that. It's more complicated, okay? The bottom line is there are actions that the Raiders could hang up if they said, hey, look, this is a violation. And one of them, what has to do with the bond issue. And also, if they're short money, they could turn around and say, hey, by the way, we're having problems with these sponsorships. And also, we understand that you're having problems with gaining enough tax revenue for the bonds, and you're going to lean on the tax base of the general fund of Clark County, because it's a general obligation bond. And if the Raiders were found that things weren't going their way economically, they could claim that they were misled by the Las Vegas Stadium Authority, which is the ultimate owner of the facility, in that they were promised consistent increases, annual increases in hotel stadium tax revenue, and no situation where there would be a budget deficit for the Las Vegas Stadium Authority, and yet there is a budget deficit. Do you realize that if you take a look at lvstadiumauthority.com, the last full date of data was July for the Stadium Authority budget? July. Take a look at it, folks. They have, ever since Stephen Hill became in charge of the Stadium Authority, they have had a practice of holding back information months by months, and no one, save for moi, has made an issue of that. No one. Okay? No one. Getting on with your comments here. Eric Young says, I hope it keeps raining in Vegas. Ha ha ha. Horst Choka says, if any of the top QBs are available at 19, we should seriously consider grabbing him, but not at 12. So you don't like Joe Burrow that high? Just curious. Eric Young, I need to do my mock draft. Eric Young says, I hope so, to Edward Reed, something about backfire. Dave Howson says, secondary market tickets will flood the new stadium with tons of visiting fans. No home field advantage from the black hole to the sinkhole. He's right. The secondary ticket market will prove to be the Raiders' worst enemy unless the Raiders have a plan to get it under control. Don't see it. John Akala says, I wonder if the Raiders are trying to talk Oakland into playing half their home games in Oakland next year. Wouldn't surprise me. It would be a reduction in rent for them, more time to ready the stadium, okay? And that would be the logical outcome. The question is whether or not Oakland would want to give them that rather than say, oh, no, because Scott McKibben personally told me, look, when I structured that deal, it was for the whole season. It wasn't to be split in half. Just saying, okay? Of course, he's not there anymore. Eric Young says, so when Oakland wins the case, what happens then? Well, it depends on the level of damages. If Oakland wins the case and the damages go into the billions, hey, anything can happen. Anything can happen. And I said, if Oakland wins the case and the damages go into the billions, I'm not saying that'll necessarily happen. I think it should. That's me. That doesn't mean it will. Okay, it's not a certainty. However, I do believe it is more of a certainty that if it goes to trial, they'll win. I just don't know what the damage level will be. Eric Young says, they play one game in Oakland. Next season, they have to play them all. Theoretically. But you know what? If you're a deal maker, anything can be done, right? David says, in your heart of hearts, do you think the Raiders saga is over? I take it you mean in Oakland. No, in my heart of hearts, I don't think it's over. Because I look at just the simple question of where we are. The Raiders themselves have not formally declared that they are not playing at the Coliseum next year. All this talk has been media, driven by a media that wants to help the Raiders with a party line that allows them to sell tickets and hopefully gain more sponsorships in Vegas. To the extent, and here's the big problem with the Raiders. And excuse me, not big problem, gigantic problem, all right? I mean freaking huge, man, is that because they don't have all the founding partner sponsors they thought they were going to have, would you, if you were the Raiders, want it known that you didn't plan to come to Vegas for the year that you kept crowing that you were going to come there? And you're trying to get sponsors, and the sponsors will say, okay, well, when are you going to be here? You want me to lay down how many million? But, you're not going to be here when you said you're going to be here, right? Now, had the Raiders handled this not on a fast track and had a portal where everybody could gauge its construction, then they could project out where problems are going to be fixed and negotiate their sponsorships accordingly. But they didn't do that. So the Raiders put themselves in a bind with their strategy. I don't know what genius. Maybe it was Bedane. This has to fall in Bedane's lap, okay? And I believe it should. I believe it does. That they're in this situation where they are, for marketing purposes, not being forthcoming exactly with where they are, even with problems, unlike how other NFL stadiums, a la the Atlanta Falcons, have been handled in the recent past. Okay, so Horse Chucka says Burrow won't be available at 12. No, I don't know. No way. Guy's too good. He says, will the Raiders have an alternative Vegas jersey? Why should they? Errol Reed says, Davis is in over his head. Raider P says, do you think we will actually play in Vegas or stay in Oakland? Well, Raider P, you keep asking me that question. And I think I kind of put you on a temporary block the last time you did, because I don't actually know who you are. But this is the 6th time you've done that. Okay? The 6th time. So who are you really, and what is it that you're trying to do? Who are you really, and what is it that you're trying to do? Because this is the 6th time you've done that. All right? If you don't like my if-then-else form of answers, which is kind of like computer programming, go someplace else. All right? But that is the way that I mentally roll. If you can't handle it, tough. If you don't want to be a Zenster, go away. Shoo. I'm tired of that. You've done that again and again and again. And as you can tell by my response, I'm tired of you doing it. Knock it off. All right? She says the city-sided Bengals are going to ruin Joe Burrow. I feel bad at him for him. Agree. I'm not convinced the Bengals are going to go for him. I think the Bengals are going to look at this as an opportunity to fill holes and look at deals. And if they can get the right deal, I think they'll trade out to number 1. Okay? So, and Eric Young says, me neither. That's why I keep telling y'all, put them violins away. Quit playing that sad last game in Oakland music, because they're going to be right back here in Oakland. Yeah, but not forever. I mean, it's just a matter of the stadium's not ready. It's got a problem. And I will say this. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Las Vegas needs the large events center. But it has to be done right. Those of you who keep saying, oh, you keep saying it's not going to be on time, it's going to be on time. Look, I always ask you this question. Do you want it done right? Do you want it done so that you can feel safe walking into it? I do. Okay. You should too. All right? So, David says, I have relatives in Las Vegas. Many don't want them there. Many. Wow. That's huge. Eric Young says, shoe fly don't bother me. And Horse Choker says, I think an all-black jersey would be cool. Now, yeah. Okay, now if you say something like, see, that's the thing. When you ask the question, a Vegas uniform, that brings up, it's kind of like, you mean like a Vegas style? And that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, why would they want to do that? They have their own brand. But an all-black jersey would be cool regardless of where they were. Oakland or Vegas, right? My point is, whatever jersey you wear, play up to the image. Win, all right? And so Eric Young says no. Eric, are you saying no to the jersey or no to the... I'm curious. Since we're talking about Oakland sports, I have to say the other story of the decade, from a business perspective, is the hiring of Dave Cavall for the A's as president. He came in with a great track record building stadium down there, minor for the minor league teams and the Earthquakes, San Jose Earthquakes, I believe. Yeah, and uh, David has proven himself to be an even keeled, top flight, focused professional who knows how to work the politics to achieve the objectives that he's set out for the organization. And I think he is to be applauded. And I know that Dave thinks, hey, he's always criticizing and all that. Nah, look, just that's not the whole point. Dave has been a great asset to the city of Oakland, no question about it. And I think, he's one of the great sports stories of the decade in Oakland. Yeah, I mean, just no question about it. So I'll put Dave Cavall there as number 7, Dave Cavall, and then John Acala, Dave Cavall as A's president. Okay, and then number 8, I'll add the return of John Gruden as Raiders head coach. It's hard to say. I mean, where does Steve Kerr's hiring fit into all that? Because look, I don't know about you, but when I heard that Steve Kerr was going to be hired, I thought, you fired Mark Jackson for him? What is he going to do? Oh, boy, I was livid. Then we saw, right? Raider P asked, did I hear the rumor about the Warriors and Karl Anthony Towns? He wants out of the Timberwolves. As a Raider fan, I have to admit, the story of the decade is 49ers would job Lynch, York, Shannon did. That doesn't make any sense to me. John Mark says, how about Lou Wolf stepping out as owner of the A's when John Fisher bought him out? That's a story. I don't know if it ranks number 9, though. It's a story, okay? But I don't know that it ranks number 9 because Lou Wolf's days were numbered anyway, all right? So I don't know quite where that... I'm not saying it's not important, but I don't know if it rises to the rank of number 9. I don't know that, okay? Raider, okay. And Raider P says, what a job Lynch Shannon did with the Niners. But that's a Niners thing. We're talking about Oakland. The best Oakland sports, Raiders, A's, Warrior player story of the decade. That's Niners. I'm not saying it's not important, but I'm not going to slip it in there. All right? So I got to stick to the program. Read. John Mark says, about Lou Wolf. I got that one. And, okay. So, yeah. So, number 9. I mean, let me put it this way. Another important sports story of the time, although maybe it doesn't rank to number 9, it's definitely important in my eyes, and that is the Raiderettes suing the Raiders and winning. Remember that? That was about, 4 years ago? And thereabouts? They filed a lawsuit. These brilliant law student Raiderettes were not getting the pay they deserved, and they sued the Raiders, and they won. Big deal. I never forget that story when I see the Raiderettes perform. That's always front in my mind. And also, by the way, I was a Raiderette judge at one point. 1996 to 1997. So, I mean, Oakland Panthers. Yeah, Oakland Panthers. Okay, Oakland Panthers there, but doesn't rank as number 9. It's quite important. Doesn't rank as number 9. I would say the hiring of Scott McKibben to be Coliseum Authority Executive Director ranks as number 9. All right? And Scott McKibben, yeah. And as Coliseum JPA Executive Director. And the reason is that, look, Scott brought, okay, Scott brought the JPA from the red to the black. during his tenure. And those people looking for some sort of impropriety, you're not going to find any. All right? I don't care what anyone tells you how something looks. You're not going to find it. They just don't want to pay Scott, excuse me, I think $300,000 they still owe him. And that's really crappy, okay? But Scott was the best executive director the Coliseum Joint Powers Authority ever had. Scott came in at a tumultuous time in the relationship between the city of Oakland, the county of Alameda alone, all right, not to mention those entities and the sports organizations. And he had to manage that giant bucking bronco on a daily basis, and he did a fantastic job. And for anyone not to report that, they're not doing a good job at all. And there's been a lot of lousy reporting on everything, including Scott. Okay. So, no, I would say, all right. Eric Young says, whoa, I forgot about the Panthers. Yeah. So now I've got number down to number 10. So now we're starting to, get into that. This could go on for a while. I didn't expect this to go on for that long, and I've got to head off to rest time, okay? I'm going to pick this up tomorrow earlier. And I don't want to, as a part 2, okay? As a part 2. Yeah. Quite interesting. And I can't wait to see other comments that come in. So the question you say, when is the part 2 going to come? What time? It's going to be about, yeah, it was a good game. It was going to be about, well, it won't be 11:30 Eastern. More like 9, I would say 10 o'clock Eastern. Well, no, more like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern in there. I want to do it earlier because, hey, it's the New Year's, you guys ought to be off doing something, right? You know what? Here's the thing. Maybe, yeah. Let's pick it up tomorrow earlier. Like, let's pick it up. Khalil Mack being traded. That's a good one. Khalil Mack trade. Let's put that in number 10. Yeah, number 10. Khalil Mack trade. Trade to Chicago. Earl Jacobs says MLB vetoed Charlie Finley's deal to sell Vita Blue. I remember that one, but that was before 2010. So you can't fit that in there. Antonio Brown, that's important. I don't know if it ranks number 10, though, because the Khalil Mack trade was earth-shattering. Khalil Mack was as much thought a symbol of the Raiders as Derek Carr. Okay, that was earth-shattering. That was completely earth-shattering. Okay, so watch for it tomorrow evening, not night. Amari Cooper trade, yeah. Okay, yes, yep. Amari. Oh, wait a minute. Amari Cooper trade. Hold on a second. You know what? Kevin Durant. That's number 12. Someone would argue should be higher than that. Kevin Durant. FA to Brooklyn Nets from Warriors. That's a big one, okay? That's a big one. All right? Rated P says rated player passing away. Yes, I don't know if it ranks that high, though, but I agree it's a tragic story in its story. But Kevin Durant free agency to Brooklyn Nets was was earth-shattering in terms of its symbolism. Forget for the moment that Durant may not play for the Nets for this year, this season, right? It signaled the end of the Golden State Warriors as we knew them. Eric Young says losing Clifford Branch and Willie Brown. There you go. Okay, that's it. Losing Cliff Branch. Yeah, there we go. I'm copying that. That's number 13. Okay. There we go. Okay. There we are. All right. Losing Clifford Branch and Willie Brown. Yes. Yes. And that's number 13. Edward Reese says strength in numbers logo, Oakland Warriors. And Raider P says, how about everyone getting hurt for the Warriors in the finals? I like that one. I don't know if that ranks that high. David Halcyon says, don't forget Clem Daniels. Yep. I'll say losing Clem Daniels. Yep. There. Okay. So that would be what? Losing Clem Daniels, we said, should be number 14, right? All right. Number 14. Okay. Losing Clem Daniels. All right. This is good stuff. We got a list here, folks. We got a list here. Edward Reese says strength in numbers, Oakland Warriors logo. I like that. I don't know if it rises that high to where it deserves to be 15. Okay. Jack Tatum too. Yep. Losing Jack Tatum. Yes. Jack Tatum. That's number 15. Okay. Losing Jack Tatum. Excuse me. Using Jack Tatum and Warriors Nate Thurman. Yeah. I'm not laughing at. Excuse me. Let me explain what I just saw. All right. What I just saw was this, which caused me to chuckle. Is this okay? I was typing this, and then I saw this. It says Raiders not taking advantage of their second half easy schedule and still upset. Losing Ken Stabler in 2015, absolutely. Losing Ken Stabler arguably should be ranked higher than that. So losing Ken Stabler in 2015 is number 16, right? Yep. Okay. Double D says soon to be offensive rookie of the year, Josh Jacobs. Why do I feel like there was something? The terrible Carson Palmer deal. I like that one. Yeah. Number 617. Good one. That terrible Carson Palmer deal. Yeah. How about number 18, landing Kevin Durant for the Golden Warriors. Remember how earth-shattering that was? They're calling him a sellout, all this other stuff, okay? So losing Kevin Durant for the Warriors, right? Okay, landing Kevin Durant for the Warriors. I think losing Kevin was a bigger story than landing him, right? And Ed Reed says Raiders going to the Super Bowl. Yeah, but Ed Reed, that wasn't during 2010. Okay, so you got to be careful. We're talking about 2010 or 2020. Raiders won the Super Bowl in 2003. I was there. All right. The Tuck rule is old too. Yeah. So, yeah, we're talking about. No, Ed, you're trying, man. It's nothing bad. Hey, you're putting in effort, dude. Cool. I don't discount effort. I only get after Raider P about that question. It's like, oh, come on, man. Jur D says, recently discovered your channel. Love your knowledge and insight. Thanks, Zinni62. Love it. Jur, thank you so much. God bless you for that. Much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Very much. Very much. This is fun stuff, right? Yeah. So we've got Raider Piece. Okay, what else? They have the A. Why do we, hey, Cocoa Crisp. The Raiders, the A's trading Cocoa Crisp. Yeah? Hold on a second. I mean, anybody? What do you think? The A's trading Cocoa Crisp? I thought that was kind of like, you know, I thought, really? You getting rid of them? What? Okay. Can I get a second on that? You think it ranks as high as 19? Eric Young says Johannes Cesapetta's trade from the A's effectively or felt immediately. Okay, I'll go with that. All right. I'll go with that. 19 Oakland A's trade Johannes Cesapetta's. There. How's that? Okay, that's 19. They got a good list here going. Couldn't forget about the A's, right? So, anyone from Oakland Roots Soccer? Terrell Pryor 92-yard run versus Pittsburgh. Huge, but not earth-shattering. That's a play, right? It's not so much an outcome that defined a business move. You know what I mean? I mean, it wasn't a play that you could look at and say, well, that play caused the Raiders to go to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, something like that. Then it would be a different story, like the catch. So I don't think, as cool as that example was, and I have it on Zenny62 on YouTube here, right? It doesn't rise to the level of something like the catch. I'm not saying that there was, or the point is something that defines a history that says, hey, they won the game because of that play. And the game was of extreme importance. The game against Pittsburgh was not of extreme importance in the entire scheme of things. All right? Eric Young says the Raiders did win that game, though. Yeah, they won, but it wasn't... Okay, what did they win? It was a game. Fine. I mean, I can make an argument that they could have won another game down the stretch that could have made up for that if they lost it. So, bada bada boom, right? But if it was the the AFC Championship game, right? Or the AFC Divisional Playoff game, all right? Like, how often... I mean, look, you want an example of what I'm talking about? You guys mentioned the Tuck rule. Need I say more? Raider P says the Raiders beating the Chiefs with last-minute catch by Crabtree. All the bad calls in the end. Nah. What did it get us in terms of a championship? I'm not... They have to be meaningful. Something that ended in... that produced a trophy, right? Otherwise, I'm not, with that. What about... I guess that would have been huge. What about... Darren McFadden, the Raiders drafting Darren McFadden, who was arguably the Josh Jacobs of his day. I don't know that it rises to the point of, 1920, right? Hey, good night, John. I'll see you. Yeah, let's pick this up. It's 1:26. So let's pick this up tomorrow earlier. About 3 or 4 o'clock your time, which would be 6 to 7 o'clock my time. Let's do that. Let's finish this. I don't know if we're ever figuring it. We're getting the list. I'm gonna publish it, right? Eric Young says the refs' MVP performance against the Raiders yesterday. Oh, but what am I forgetting? Hey, the firing of Hugh Jackson, right? And the firing of Hugh Jackson. Yeah, the firing of Hugh Jackson. I think that because that was when Mark Davis really, reared his head as, well, I'm the owner here. Let's make that number 20, okay? 20. Oakland Raiders. He was a friend, okay? But Oakland Raiders fire Hugh Jackson. In, was it 2000? 2011. We already got Gruden coming back to the Raiders, Jordy. And no, I shouldn't have never happened. It was huge, huge. All right, folks, that was awesome. I'm gonna shuffle on out of here. Horse Trigger says the last play of the Texans game when the Raiders had 10 men on the field in memory of Al Davis. That's that is a notable occurrence, but I don't know that it is number 21. So we're at number 21. All right. That's interesting. But I don't. You have to reach deep for that one. That's something that you got to reach deep. Okay. Um, and Rudy says, "Thank you for all the Raider info. Appreciate your videos. Thank you. Hey, thank you all. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. All right, folks. I'll see y'all later. Thanks. And live long and prosper. Okay, see ya."